Off the coast of Japan, there is an island that looks like a warship rising out of the sea. It has no crew, no lights, and no living soul. But it was once the most crowded place on the entire planet. They call it Battleship Island. On the maps it is named Hashima. And what happened here is a story Japan spent decades trying to bury beneath the waves. From a distance, its silhouette is unmistakable. A wall of gray concrete, jagged towers, and crumbling ramparts, floating alone in the water like a vessel that stopped moving a long time ago. It began with coal. In the late 1800s, a company discovered rich seams of coal buried deep beneath the seabed here, and Japan was desperate for fuel to power its rise as a modern empire. So they built a mine that plunged down through the rock, far below the ocean floor. Men descended into shafts more than 600 meters deep, into heat, gas, and darkness. To protect the workers from typhoons, they wrapped the tiny island in a towering sea wall. Little by little, a fortress grew out of the water, and inside those walls, a whole city took shape. In 1916, they raised Japan's first large concrete apartment building right here. Then another, and another, stacked on top of each other to hold a population that kept growing. At its peak, more than 5,000 people lived on a rock barely larger than a few football fields. It became the most densely packed place ever recorded anywhere in human history. There were schools, shops, a hospital, a temple, even a cinema and a rooftop garden. Children played in narrow concrete canyons while the sea roared just beyond the walls. But life here was brutal. Typhoons slammed waves clean over the rooftops. The air tasted of coal dust. And beneath the comfort of this floating city lay something far darker. During the 1930s and the years of the Second World War, Japan needed more coal than free men were willing to dig. So it brought in laborers who were never given a choice. Thousands of Korean and Chinese workers were forced onto the island. Many had been taken from their homes, shipped across the sea, and set to work in the suffocating tunnels below. They were sent into the deepest, hottest, most dangerous parts of the mine. The tunnels could reach temperatures that felt like an oven, choked with gas, water, and the constant threat of collapse. Some, in desperation, tried to escape by leaping into the sea and swimming for the mainland. The currents were merciless. Many of them were never seen alive again. Historians believe that over the years, hundreds of these forced laborers died here, from accidents, exhaustion, malnutrition, and sickness. For a long time, their names were barely recorded at all, and the island sits within sight of Nagasaki. When the atomic bomb fell in 1945, some of those same laborers were later sent into the ruined city to clear the dead. If this haunting piece of history is pulling you in, take 1 second to subscribe. Every day we uncover another dark and unforgettable story from Japan you were never told. After the war, the island lived on. The mine kept running, families kept coming, and for a while the little concrete city thrived once again in the middle of the ocean. Then the world changed. Japan turned away from coal and toward oil. Almost overnight, the reason for the island's existence began to disappear. In 1974, the mine was ordered to close. The people were given only weeks to pack up their entire lives and leave the only home many of them had ever known. They left in a hurry, and they left almost everything behind. Dishes on tables, shoes by doors, toys on floors, televisions still sitting in silent living rooms. Within months, the most crowded place on Earth became completely empty. 5,000 voices fell silent, and the sea wind moved through the corridors where children once ran. For decades, no one was allowed to return. The salt air ate through the concrete. Floors buckled, staircases crumbled, and the buildings slowly began to fall apart from the inside. Those who have crept inside describe an unsettling stillness. Calendars frozen on the month everyone left. Classrooms with textbooks still open. A whole world paused mid-breath and never restarted. In one school, tiny shoes are said to still line the entrance. In the hospital, glass bottles gather dust. It is a museum no one built, curated only by decay and time. Locals along the coast whisper of strange things. Lights seen flickering where no electricity flows. Figures glimpsed at broken windows. Sounds carried across the water from a place with no one living on it. For years the island was sealed off completely, too dangerous, too painful, too full of things Japan preferred not to remember. It simply sat there, rotting, watched only by the sea. Eventually, small guided tours were allowed to visit a narrow, safe strip of the island. Visitors stand behind barriers, staring at the ruins, forbidden from stepping into the crumbling heart. When the island was later named a World Heritage Site for its industrial history, survivors and their families were furious. They demanded that the world remember the forced laborers who suffered and died in its tunnels. Because a place can be a wonder and a wound at the same time. Hashima is both a marvel of what people can build and a monument to what they were forced to endure. Today the sea keeps pulling the island apart, wall by wall, room by room, slowly reclaiming everything human hands once stacked against it. And somewhere out there, a battleship made of concrete still drifts at anchor, crowded only with silence, and the memory of the thousands who were never meant to be forgotten.